I am Haley Brown, a name everyone knows on Instagram. If you've never heard of me, then you're definitely not living the right way. 50,000 followers. Luxury brands following me, demanding me with collaboration offers every day. I'm not just an influencer. I'm a symbol of luxury, of a lifestyle that ordinary people can only dream of. People look at me and think, she has everything. And I won't deny it. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, I wear nothing but the best. Fine dining, five-star hotels, traveling the world, that's my standard. Every photo on my Instagram is a masterpiece, perfect lighting, just the right filter to highlight my flawless skin, captions sharp enough to boost engagement. I don't work an 8-hour job. I make others work while I enjoy life. But among the endless stream of compliments and admiration, there are always haters. People who can't stand seeing me succeed, who resent the fact that I have a life they could never afford. I call them losers. And at the top of that list? My sister, Ashley Brown. We were born into the same family, but we belong to two different worlds. Ashley? A finance professional living in a world of spreadsheets and dull business suits. Me? A symbol of style and freedom, living life on my own terms, free from outdated societal rules. Ashley thinks she's better than me just because she has a high-paying job on Wall Street. But who cares about staring at a computer screen all day? She might make a lot of money, but no one admires her. Picture a family dinner. Everyone laughing, talking, circling around me, asking about my travels, the brands I collaborate with. Ashley? Just sitting there, silently picking at her food, completely ignored. No one cares about her financial reports or economic forecasts. My mom beams with pride when I show off my newest Hermes bag. My dad proudly tells our relatives that I'm a social media phenomenon. Ashley will never admit it, but I know she hates me. Not because I'm prettier, not because I'm more famous, but because I'm the one who makes our parents happy, not her. I remember something my mom once told me. Ashley is smart, but I've never seen her do anything that makes people happy. And I knew she was right. Ashley lives for herself, for her career, for her work. But me? I live for something more important: happiness, experiences, recognition. Do I feel guilty for saying this? No. I'm not a hypocrite like her. I know who I am. I know I deserve to be loved, admired, and to live a life of luxury. But there's a small problem. I'm running out of money. Not because I'm reckless, but because luxury requires investment. Let me explain. When you're an influencer, you can't afford to look broke. Once you build the image of a queen, you can't just show up at some random Starbucks like an ordinary person. You have to travel. Santorini, Paris, Dubai. You need new bags, new shoes, new outfits, because no one follows an influencer who repeats outfits. I need money. Not the slow kind you earn the traditional way. I need a boost. A big amount to keep my empire alive. And when I look at Ashley's boring life, someone who has no idea how to spend money properly, one thought crosses my mind. Why not help her spend it? To be honest, I never intended to steal. I simply believed that it was family money. My sister's money, our family's money, so technically it's mine too, right? So, I came up with the perfect plan. I am not greedy. I'm just someone who knows how to take what rightfully belongs to me. And I know how to get what I want without leaving a trace. My sister? Ashley Brown, always too busy with numbers, financial reports, and pointless meetings on the 45th floor of Goldman Sachs. She doesn't have time to enjoy life, so what's the harm in me enjoying it for her? I started planning. I knew Ashley didn't trust me. She always looked at me with that skeptical glare, as if I were some hopeless failure. But I also knew she still had a shred of pity for me. So, I would use it. I sent her a message on Saturday morning. Hey sis, I miss you. Are you home today? I'd love to stop by and catch up. She didn't reply immediately. But 2 hours later, I got a text. Yeah, I'm working from home. If you come over, don't bother me. I smiled. She took the bait. I dressed simply, applied light makeup, and slipped into a beige Reformation midi dress, elegant, not too flashy, but just polished enough to seem trustworthy. I stopped by a chic cafe and picked up 2 matcha lattes. Then I arrived at Ashley's apartment in Upper East Side, far too luxurious for someone who had no idea how to enjoy it. Ashley opened the door without sparing me more than 3 seconds of eye contact. She was dressed in a crisp white blouse, black slacks, her hair neatly tied back, rimless glasses perched on her nose, the perfect "I don't have time for this" look. "What do you want?" she asked, eyes still glued to her laptop. I flashed my brightest smile. "I just wanted to visit you. I even got you a matcha latte." I placed the cup on the table. Ashley didn't look up, muttering a half-hearted thanks. Good. She wasn't suspicious. I sat down, pretending to scroll through my phone, but my eyes were scanning the room, searching for the most important thing. Her wallet. It took me less than 5 minutes to spot it on the kitchen counter. A sleek, black Prada wallet, compact, elegant, and holding the keys to my personal paradise. The problem was how to take it without getting caught. I picked up my cup, accidentally spilling a little on the table. "Oh no, I'm so clumsy," I gasped, grabbing napkins. Ashley sighed in irritation, shutting her laptop and getting up to fetch a towel from the kitchen. This was my moment. I quickly stepped over to the counter, flipped open her wallet, and slipped out a gleaming platinum credit card. I wasn't stupid enough to take the whole wallet, too obvious. But a single card? She wouldn't even notice it was missing right away. I slid the card into my phone case, snapped the cover back on. The entire process took less than 5 seconds. Ashley returned with the towel, and I smiled innocently. "Do you have any extra napkins?" "I feel terrible for making a mess." She sighed, handed me a napkin, completely unaware that, in that brief moment, I had secured my golden ticket to the luxurious life I deserved. I didn't start spending immediately. I knew how to be strategic. First, I made small online purchases, just a few $100s, not enough to trigger any fraud alerts. Then, I booked a first-class flight to Paris, but through a third-party service, making it look like an influencer sponsorship. A few days later, I booked 4 Seasons Hotel, VIP tickets to the Louvre, a table at a Michelin-star restaurant, all arranged through intermediaries to avoid suspicion. I planned everything perfectly. I wasn't dumb enough to burn through the money all at once. I knew Ashley wouldn't check her accounts immediately. She had dozens of credit cards. And just like that, I won. I stepped into my walk-in closet, admiring the rows of dresses, designer heels, and handbags I was about to own. I was a queen, and the world belonged to me. I knew that if things ever went south, my parents would be my safety net. So, I called my mom. "Mom, I have the most amazing surprise. I want to take you and Dad on a trip to Europe." She squealed with joy. "Oh my God. Haley, you're the most wonderful daughter." I grinned. I knew she wouldn't question a thing. "But honey, where did you get the money for this?" I let out a small sigh, feigning innocence. "You know, Mom, being an influencer isn't always easy, but I made a secret investment I never told you about. This is my way of thanking you and Dad for always supporting me." She didn't doubt me for a second. Instead, she said something that confirmed I had completely won this game. "You're not like Ashley. You always think about family." I thought no one would ever find out. I didn't know that just a few weeks later, I would be facing the biggest disaster of my life. But in that moment, all I could think about was the Chanel dresses I would wear, the champagne I would sip at 5-star hotels, and the Instagram posts I would upload. I had never felt more alive than at that moment. From the first-class window seat, I took a sip of Moët and Chandon champagne, tilting my face just enough for the morning light to reflect perfectly on my flawless makeup. My phone vibrated nonstop with notifications. "Your latest post just hit 12,000 likes. OMG, are you in Paris? That's insane. Teach me how to get rich. My sister works like a slave and never gets to enjoy life like you. You're literally goals." I smirked. That's right. I was the winner. My parents were enjoying themselves too. My mother had just bought a Chanel bag, while my father couldn't stop taking pictures with the Eiffel Tower in the background. Everyone on Instagram was jealous of my life, and I loved that feeling. We stepped off the Air France first-class cabin, arriving back in New York. I wore an elegant fedora hat, draped in Louis Vuitton from head to toe, pulling along a Rimowa suitcase that sparkled under the airport lights. I felt like a Hollywood star stepping onto the red carpet. Every eye was on me, exactly as I wanted. My parents couldn't stop talking about the trip. "Haley, this was the best vacation of my life. You're an angel," my mother gushed, squeezing my hand. "Ashley is always too busy with work, but you know how to make your family truly enjoy life." My father nodded in agreement. I smiled. I had one. But then, I saw her. Ashley stood just past the VIP exit, right by the priority seating area. She wore a perfectly tailored navy blue suit, sleek Jimmy Choo stilettos, her long hair neatly tied back, her face lightly made up yet radiating power. I froze for a second. Then I smirked. "Oh, Ashley, you came to pick us up." I stretched my voice just a little, feigning surprise. She didn't move. She didn't smile. She just stood there, her cold brown eyes locked onto mine. For the first time, I felt uneasy. Then I noticed. She wasn't alone. Beside Ashley stood two men in black suits, silent, imposing. Next to them, a blonde woman in a gray suit, clutching a thick folder. But what made my stomach drop wasn't them. It was the NYPD badge gleaming on their jackets. Police. Lawyers. She had planned this. I heard my parents stop talking. My mother's grip on my hand tightened as if sensing something was wrong. Then, a cold voice cut through the air. "Miss Haley Brown, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of financial fraud." My heart froze. Everything around me slowed down. I saw my father's eyes widen in shock, his mouth opening, but no words coming out. My mother stood frozen, her hands trembling. People around us started staring. Some had already pulled out their phones, recording. I swallowed hard but immediately forced a perfect smile. This must be a mistake. I laughed sweetly, my gaze shifting to Ashley. "Sis, what is this about?" She didn't flinch. "There's no mistake, Haley. You're joking, right? This is a prank." I tried to laugh, but my voice pitched slightly higher than I intended. The female officer stepped forward, pulling out a document. "You have been using someone else's credit card to spend over $50,000, booking luxury flights, hotels, and various high-end purchases. This constitutes financial fraud, and we have substantial evidence." "Fraud? What are you talking about?" "That was my sister's card. We're family. She let me use it." I snapped, my voice rising in anger. Ashley raised an eyebrow. "Oh, then why did I report the card as stolen 3 weeks ago? Why do I have the full transaction history, complete with my signature denying every charge? And why, Haley, do I have security footage from my apartment showing you sneaking into my wallet and taking my card without permission?" I heard my mother gasp. Her hand gripped my sleeve tightly. My father staggered back, his face drained of color. No way. You set me up. You're making this a bigger deal than it is." I screamed. The officer didn't even acknowledge me. She simply reached for a pair of handcuffs. "Miss Haley Brown, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court." The cold clink of the handcuffs locking around my wrists echoed louder than anything else. My Hermes bag slipped from my grasp, crashing onto the floor, spilling fake credit cards, receipts from luxury stores. I turned to my mother, tears streaming down my face, looking every bit like the victim I had always been so good at playing. "Mom, please, help me. I just wanted our family to be happy. She planned this. She's trying to ruin me. I'm your daughter." But my mother just stood there, her eyes wide, her lips parted in shock, like she no longer recognized me. My father stammered, his hands trembling as he reached for their bank book. "Carol, the account balance. We only have $5,000 left." Those words stabbed straight through my chest. My mother staggered back, her mouth hanging open, staring at me as if I had just murdered our entire family. Tears rolled down her face. She shook her head, her voice breaking. "Haley, what have you done?" I was dragged away. I had thought I controlled everything. I had thought I had one. I had thought no one could touch me. But now? I was nothing but a fraud, exposed for the entire world to see. I was shoved into the back seat of the police car, my wrists locked tight in handcuffs, my perfectly curled hair now a tangled mess, my Dior lipstick smudged at the corner of my mouth from my panicked breathing. I could hear the rapid clicks of cameras, the hushed whispers of onlookers pointing in my direction. Oh my God, who is that? Looks like some influencer. Wait, is that Haley Brown? Holy shit. She's getting arrested? Serves her right. I clenched my teeth. I couldn't let them see me break. I couldn't let them enjoy this moment. But as the car door slammed shut and the engine roared to life, I knew. I had lost everything. The police car weaved through the bustling streets of New York, but I no longer cared about the dazzling city lights outside. I only stared at the dark screen of my phone, locked away, confiscated by the officers. My Instagram. My followers. Everything I had spent years building, all about to disappear. I tried to twist my fingers free from the cuffs, but it was useless. The cold metal bit into my skin, leaving red marks. "Careful there, Ms. Brown," the officer beside me muttered. "You have the right to remain silent, but in my experience, people like you never do." I snapped my head toward him, eyes blazing. "People like me? You think I'm a criminal?" He smirked. "What you think doesn't matter. What matters is that your file is thick enough to put you behind bars. And trust me, all those things you posted online, we've got plenty of evidence from there." A pit formed in my stomach. Instagram. The luxury photos. The bragging. The bold captions. Everything would be exposed as a scam. We arrived at the Manhattan police station, the harsh white lights reflecting off the sterile tiled floors. I was yanked out of the car, stripped of any resemblance to an influencer, no longer strutting like a queen on a runway. I was nothing but a criminal being escorted like a common thief. A female officer stepped forward, unlocking my cuffs. "Remove your jewelry, empty your pockets, hand over your phone, your bag, everything goes in the tray." I glared at her. "Do you even know how much this bag costs?" I snarled, gripping my Hermes purse. She swiftly snatched it from me. "Doesn't matter. It's worthless now." I couldn't breathe. And then, the real nightmare began. They shoved me into an interrogation room, a tiny space with blinding fluorescent lights. A one-way mirror reflected back a version of myself I barely recognized. My hair disheveled. My foundation streaked. Dark circles forming under my eyes. The door swung open. Ashley walked in. She sat across from me, arms crossed, completely unfazed, like this was just another day at the office. "Did you really think you were smarter than me, Haley?" I clenched my fists beneath the table. "You actually did this to me?" I hissed, but my voice trembled. Ashley didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulled a folder from her bag and laid out the evidence in front of me. Bank statements. Transaction records. Every single charge I had made on her stolen credit card. $50,000. First-class tickets to Paris. Four Seasons Hotel. Gucci, Chanel, Hermes. Care to explain? I swallowed hard. It was just family money. I wasn't stealing. Family money? Ashley cut me off, her voice razor-sharp. "Then what about the retirement account you drained from Mom and Dad?" I froze. Mom and Dad. Their retirement savings? No, that wasn't possible. I never touched their money. But then I remembered. The small loan I took from their account for that crypto investment? The time I forged Dad's signature to withdraw funds, knowing he wouldn't check? Shit. Ashley leaned in, her gaze slicing through me. "They have less than $5,000 left, Haley. Because of you." I couldn't breathe. My parents. They couldn't only have $5,000 left. They would never forgive me. The door creaked open again. My parents walked in. My mother sobbed, gripping her coat as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. My father said nothing. He just stared at me, his eyes hollow, disappointment written deep into his face. "Haley," my mother's voice broke. "What have you done?" I wanted to scream that I had no choice. I just wanted to live a dream life. I just wanted them to be proud of me. But the only thing that left my lips was a desperate whisper. Mom, you still love me, don't you? Their silence destroyed me. I was no longer Haley Brown, Instagram queen. I was just a disgraced daughter. A fraud with nothing left. I had thought I was untouchable. I had thought I was unstoppable. But in the end, I was nothing but a beggar in my own family. I sat in the courtroom, my hands ice cold, clenched tightly together. The handcuffs had been removed, but I could still feel an invisible chain binding me in place. In front of me, the jury watched silently, some whispering among themselves, their gazes filled with judgment. Beside me, my defense attorney maintained a professional demeanor, but I knew he was nothing more than a vulture circling a dying body. Across from me, Ashley sat with her arms crossed, her face unreadable. My parents. My mother had her head buried in her hands, while my father stared straight ahead, not once looking in my direction. The charges were read aloud, each word like a death sentence. The defendant, Haley Brown, is charged with unauthorized use of credit cards, fraudulently obtaining assets totaling $50,000. Additionally, the defendant is implicated in an investment scam and identity theft, having illegally withdrawn funds from her parents' bank accounts, causing total damages of $950,300. Under federal law, these offenses carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. 10 years. No, I couldn't go to prison. I wasn't meant to be locked away in some filthy cell. I dug my nails into my palms, trying to stay composed, but inside, I was spiraling into full-blown panic. I had always thought I could charm my way out of anything, but not this time. Ashley's legal team laid out every piece of evidence. Credit card statements, proof that I had spent lavishly using her money. Screenshots from my own Instagram, boasting about luxuries I had bought with Ashley's stolen funds. Security camera footage showing me rifling through her wallet, taking her credit card. The jury nodded grimly, some frowning as they looked at me like I was nothing more than a venomous snake. I wanted to scream, to tell them I wasn't a fraud, that I was just trying to live the life I deserved. But who would believe me? My lawyer desperately tried to salvage the case. Your Honor, my client has no prior criminal record and exhibits signs of psychological distress, exacerbated by social media pressure and family expectations. She did not intend to harm her family. She was merely seeking validation and love. I took a deep breath, turning toward my mother. Tears brimmed in her eyes, but she no longer shielded me like before. My father? He still refused to look at me. Ashley? Her eyes remained cold, but beneath the steel, I caught a flicker of something. Disappointment. The judge's gavel slammed down. After reviewing the evidence and testimonies from both sides, this court rules that. I held my breath. The defendant, Haley Brown, is sentenced to 5 years in prison and is ordered to repay the total damages of $950,300. It felt like I had been shoved straight into hell. 5 years. I was going to spend 5 years in prison? I struggled to breathe, my gaze darting around the courtroom, searching for someone, anyone, who was still on my side. But there was no one. After the trial, the handcuffs clicked back onto my wrists. Ashley stepped closer. She wasn't gloating. She wasn't cruel. She was simply calm. Haley, she said, her voice steady, have you ever actually looked in the mirror and asked yourself who you really are? I clenched my fists, saying nothing. You did this to yourself. Not me. Not mom and dad. Not social media. You. And now, you're the only one who can climb out of the hole you dug. Then, she turned and walked away. No more words. No final glances. I wanted to scream, to accuse her of setting me up, to tell her I didn't deserve this. But for the first time in my life, I couldn't come up with a single lie to cover the truth. I had once been a rising Instagram star. I had once been the queen of luxury. But now? I was just a prisoner, with 5 years of a broken future ahead of me. I used to think I was strong. I used to believe that no matter what happened, I would never break. But now, as I sit on this cold metal bed, surrounded by 4 concrete walls, I'm not so sure anymore. Prison isn't like the glamorous Hollywood movies. It's harsh, filthy, and isolating. No phone. No Instagram. No more fake compliments. Just me. And only me. On my first night, I couldn't sleep. The chaotic noise from the neighboring cells drove me insane. The crude laughter, the vulgar insults, the heavy footsteps echoing against the cement floor. I curled up, clutching the thin blanket, pressing my hands against my ears. But nothing could block out the truth. I was no longer Haley Brown of Instagram. I was no longer the queen of luxury parties. I was just a convicted felon, stripped of everything. My first meal? A plastic tray of cold, tasteless food. No more Michelin-starred steaks. No more fine wine. Just dry rice, wilted vegetables, and a frozen slab of meat. I stared at the tray, my stomach twisting in knots. "Welcome to reality, princess." A rough voice cut through the silence. I turned and saw a tall, tattooed woman glaring at me. Her eyes dripped with disdain. "Who are you?" I whispered. "Someone who doesn't give a shit about you. Learn how to survive." 3 months later, I decided to write a letter to my family. Not because I expected forgiveness, but because I needed to say something before I lost myself completely. To Mom, Dad, and Ashley. Every day in here, I think about what I've done. About who I became. I used to believe that life only had meaning when people admired me. That if I looked perfect on social media, I would be happy. But I was wrong. So wrong. In here, I'm forced to do things I never thought I would. Cleaning toilets. Standing in line for rationed food. Learning a labor job in the rehabilitation program. I used to look down on people who worked these jobs. But now, I realize they were always more real than I ever was. They earned their way. And me? I lived off lies. Mom, I know how much I took from this family. Not just money, but trust, dignity, and the love I could have had if I hadn't turned myself into a fraud. I remember how you used to hold me close when I was little. I remember how you always defended me from criticism. But this time, I know. I can't expect you to do that anymore. Dad, I'm sorry for destroying the savings you spent your life building. I know you can't forgive me right now, but if one day I can make things right, I will. Ashley, you were always right about me. I hated you because you always succeeded. Because people respected you. Because you always did things the right way. But now I finally understand. You never needed fake validation like I did. You never had to prove your worth through appearances. You were enough just by being yourself. And I wish I had learned that sooner. I don't know if this letter will ever be answered. I don't know if Mom and Dad still see me as their daughter. I don't know if Ashley will ever forgive me. But right now, I am just a fraud who got exposed. I lost everything: money, fame, family. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to start over. Do I deserve this? Maybe you're reading this and thinking, serves her right. A scammer like her deserves exactly this. But I want to ask you something. Are you sure that if you were in my position, you wouldn't have made the same choices? Be honest. Have you ever felt pressured to prove your success to the world? Have you ever wanted luxury just to prove you were worthy? Have you ever been so jealous of someone that you'd do anything to be them? If your answer is yes, then you understand me more than you think. I want to hear your thoughts. Am I truly the villain, or am I just a victim of my own ambition? Was Ashley too cruel for turning me in, or was she just protecting herself? Were my parents wrong for favoring her, or was it just the inevitable truth of society? Do you think I deserved 5 years in prison, or should I have been given a chance to rebuild? Leave a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know if anyone out there truly understands me. And if you still think I deserve this, then go ahead, drag me. I'm used to being judged. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories about losers like me. Thank you.